Hi, welcome to day 4 of the Mind Body Calm Mindfulness Mindset Makeover. I'm going to begin straight away now, and I'd like to draw your attention to this image here. This day is about interpreting our environment. Our mind is continuously working to create meaning from what we experience in our environment. We never see the complete story or the complete picture. We're always adding detail and assumptions. Okay, so here we go. What's this image? What do you see? A building site, tornado damage, or a bomb site? Our mind elaborates on the details and assumptions to the point that we make judgments, we add emotions from our past experiences, or as well as we anticipate about future outcomes. So what does this have to do with mindfulness? Well, I'm sure you can almost answer that yourself. What you can see here is an event or a physical space like the building site or the tornado damage or whatever we choose to call it. We add our interpretation considering our experience. So if you're a builder, you might see the safety equipment, or you might see that the cement truck's in the wrong position, or the crane isn't very big. If you're a designer, you'll see, oh, it's an interesting angle they've built it at. Or if you're a recovery specialist, like a tornado person, you might see that that has been damaged by a type 4 storm. So all of our interpretation is based on our own experiences. And again, I've used really obvious sort of characters or archetypes there on the experience. Personally and on a micro individual level, our interpretation is based on our own experience. So whether we judge people as hostile or friendly is based on our cultural upbringing, our family history, our previous experiences, and how we've feedback we've gotten from assessing people before. So it's quite likely you can be seeing something that means something to you, but to the next person it's completely different, and that's purely because your experience is coloured by your previous life. We have so many layers of past experience adding colour and interpretation to each new event that no two people authentically experience anything alike. And it reminds me of a classic philosophical moment where I think it was on rape or on abortion, and as well it was on Aboriginality as well, or Indigenous. It's saying, can you honestly empathize with someone who has experienced rape or abortion or growing up as an Indigenous person? Can you genuinely, authentically empathize with them and say, yeah, I know how you feel, I understand how you feel? And the answer is, can you? You say yes, you say no. Well, you can empathize to some point, but you can't fully ever know, can you? Because we all have so many different layers of past experience adding color and interpretation. So for you to experience being an Indigenous person from your background would be colored with that expectation, going, well, it's not that different, or it would be dramatically different. Same with victims of abuse or personal tragedy. It depends on your colouring of it. So as a result, your experience and the way you interpret experience is more a reflection of where you are at emotionally and spiritually and growth-wise than anything else. And I want to keep this back on mindfulness intimately, so I don't want to drift into the life coaching too much here. But in a nutshell, each of us, our individual way of interpreting the world has a profound impact on our life outcomes. I know personally, being quick to see things as adversarial and hostile and a dog-eat-dog world led me to study law, for example. And taking a step back from that worldview, you actually don't see it I was seeing conflict and legal battles everywhere I went as a lawyer. But as I step out of that and don't do that anymore, I can see that was just a way of looking at things that actually wasn't serving me at all. So what I like to do and what mindfulness offers is this way of looking at it. It's the ABC model. So again, it's not very stripped down bare model, the ABC. So what we've got is the act, which is the situation. That's A. Then B is the interpretation. It could be air, AIR would be nicer, wouldn't it? The air model. All right. B is interpretation. Will I change that right now, hey? We'll call it the air model. How's that? Just created a new model of mindfulness. The air model. Okay, the air model is the act, is the situation. The I is for interpretation. This is where our layers of experience, prejudice, judgement, cultural conditioning. See how I spelled judgment there? That's the legal way of spelling it, when the dictionary way of spelling it is that. Our cultural conditioning, our family values, marketing, our innate beliefs, all these things colour our interpretation. So if we've been brought up to think that dairy is healthy, or that eating carbs after 8 p.m. is unhealthy, that can be just a marketing influence, can't it? So that's interpretation. So again, we've got a situation or an act or the environment. Then we interpret it in our mind, and then we take on a response or a reaction. Okay, that is our behavior, the emotion we feel, the body sensations we feel, our urge to react, how our inner voice responds, or how our personal commentary. So your mind's running commentary, or the inner critic, is emotionally charged. So what happens is, when something happens, we have the ABC model uses the act itself with a layer of interpretation, and finally our reaction. So what most of us forget is that we do have that I state, okay, the interpretation state, where we interpret things, and everyone has to almost, it's reflected as well in that idea of people feel entitled to an opinion. They go, I'm allowed to have an opinion, and it's actually quite ignorant really to say that, because it's just your interpretation based on all this, your experience, your prejudice, your judgment, your cultural condition, family values, marketing, and it's so unique to you that it can be quite tiring to actually have to listen to people expressing their sort of, they're feeling entitled to express an opinion where they're not really qualified or in that niche. So for me to qualify to have an opinion on military aircraft, which one is the best, is sort of completely inappropriate really. But you find people in life, really adamantly sticking by that they are entitled to an opinion, and they're not entitled to have me stand there and listen to it. I guess that's the response. So the response is our behavior, emotions, body sensations, our urges to react. Now, what I wanted to focus with this air that we've just sort of come up with is that when we assign feelings and emotions directly to the A state, the situation, it's actually not right. We say, oh, I'm feeling sad. Okay, my reaction is sadness because I dropped my ice cream. But it's not true. It's actually, I'm feeling sad because I dropped my ice cream, and in my experience here is that I know I won't get another one. That's it for today. Or I mightn't get another one for another month or till next summer. So that's why I'm sad. But if I dropped my ice cream, and guess what? There's 5,000 ice creams there. I can have as many as I want. I go, oh, okay, I'll run over and get another one. I wouldn't be sad, would I? I'd just go, oh, that's all right. And a totally different response. So the big thing we're learning with this air model is that feelings and emotions are a result of act and interpretation. Okay? So when something happens, we have ready-made, this is the next stage of it, folders to put the event in. So one folder might be our family drama folder. So something happens and we go, oh, that's the family drama, and we put it over there. This is our interpretation, okay? All these eye levels, our layers of experience, are down here. It each has a folder. The other might be, oh, that's because I'm overweight. I can't do this because I'm overweight. I've always had a problem with eating. Oh, I've always struggled with my weight. Things like that. It might be work hassles, fear of public speaking, your divorce story, your anxiety around money, never been good with money, work hassles, your overall victim struggle story. So when we call it a struggle story, when we say there's an event happens, then we add our struggle story and then we come up with a response. See how there's not many responses available, is there? It's predetermined almost that it's going to be a negative response because I've got this giant struggle story that we carry around. Alright? And that's why it's so hard to change or grow. So imagine when your worldview is shaped by these sort of your life story of struggle here and your victimhood. When that shapes your story, it's really hard to change. Now the skill in mindfulness, as we've already just learnt in the earlier days, the first 3 days, is that we can find a space between our thoughts where we can actually notice when we go from one thought to the next, can't we? And when that is here, that's interpretation. That's when we're going from one thought to the next. So if we can have a situation occur, or an event or an act, and then with mindfulness we go, oh, I don't have to go, my family values say that we should do this, or oh, in my experience this, or my prejudice says this, or I've seen an ad for that. We can actually pause right there and go, oh, and we can choose our behavior, our emotion, our body sensation, our reaction, because we've actually filtered this here. We're aware of it. It's not an automatic flow from dropping the ice cream to sad. Now it is dropping the ice cream going, oh, well, it wasn't that healthy anyway. I'll have to brush my teeth. Like he can assess and interpret things positively or negatively or helpfully or unhelpfully. So what happens is we can gently step back and dial down our response. Alright, so the classic inner critic stories. One is, I can't enjoy myself because I should be planning for what's coming up next. That was one of my personal favourites. I'd be lying on the beach in Fiji, done everything, worked hard, saved up for a holiday, I'm travelling, it's all there, and I'd be lying on the beach going, well, what's for dinner? What are we going to do tomorrow? What's after dinner? And just scheduling, anxiously planning ahead. So I just want to use another analogy here. The skill in mindfulness is finding the space between our thoughts so we can actually notice when we are slipping into this mind spiral of our negative, listening to our inner critic. And then we actually can choose to gently step back from it and dial it down. So we can relate to unsettling thoughts, and this is a great strategy, as we relate to the sound of an unsettling sound. Okay, so a thought, I'm not sure if you're a visual, your auditory thinker, but if you are, it's brilliant, this model, because we're going, oh, when an unsettling thought, we're treating it as though it is a sound, as if it is said. So when we hear a chainsaw or a leaf blower or a loud motorcycle, what do? We acknowledge it. We go, oh, that's loud. And then we move away from it to minimize the interference and distraction, don't we? Generally, or if we have the scope to, we sort of do it. That's what we do. And that is what we've learnt, to create space in our mind, our thoughts and our lives between ourselves and the things that are no longer helping us or serving us. So instead of having your inner critic go, why aren't I enjoying this anymore? Why can't I just switch off sometimes? What we can do is go and actually let it go. We can say, no, I don't need to hear the chainsaw or the loud motorcycle. I can choose what I'm hearing. Or I can choose not to hear it. Or I can notice it and acknowledge the loud motorcycle and just observe it and let it go and surrender and watch it pass. Okay, I don't need to add an interpretation and judgment and then have a response. The loud motorcycle can go brrrr, and you hear it and you go, don't say, oh, that was loud, or criticize it, or say they should cut the mufflers down, or we shouldn't live on the main road, or should we plant some trees, or should I shut the window? Just hear it, acknowledge it. Instead of interpreting it, acknowledge it. It's a big one. When something happens, acknowledge it, which means almost give it a wave or salute it or go morning and let it pass. But do not get caught up in an interpretation with it. Then once you just acknowledge it, the reaction response is just to go give it a wave. It was in one of those movies that said just smile and wave. Okay, that's a brilliant response. Your response to the situation is to just, the interpretation is not nothing. You just smile and your response is to wave. So your running commentary is just shut down. So you can wave them away like the distraction that they are. Okay? To close, I'd like to invite you to come into your breath. And inhale, lifting your head backwards so that you allow air to flow through your throat directly into your lungs. And then, as you are full, to curl forward with the exhale and allow the breath to sigh out of you like you are squeezing it from your lungs, from the sponge of your lungs. Let's rise on the inhale, lifting our chin, and curl on the exhale, squeezing it out of the sponge of your lungs. Rise on the inhale, and curling downwards on the exhale. And staying in this repose for a minute until the bell brings us back. Gently bring your attention back when your mind wanders. Gently coming back to your breath. I invite you to join me for day 5 of the Mindfulness Mindset Makeover with Mind Body Calm. My name's Bren Murphy. Thanks a lot.